Hey y'all, it's Poseidon. In this video I wanted to talk about what people do, or what you do in your friendlies, your casual matches, or your ranked matches to improve at the game. Because that is one of the things that you're going to do if you just played a lot of casual matches, or a lot of friendlies with your friends, or a lot of ranked matches, that you would get better at the game. But the problem is that when you do those things, what are you trying to do? And the answer that I'm sure 90% of you would give, probably even more, is win. You're trying to win. You want to beat your opponent and get the W. And the problem with that is that when you're trying to win, you're only working with what you have. You're only working with the tools that you have at your disposal that you have honed over the time that you've been playing. And the reason that that's a problem is it's kind of like a test. When you go and you take a test for school or whatever, you're only working with information that you currently already have. And the test and the result you get is going to be based off the information that you already know. So you're not like improving because you took a test, you know what I mean? You're just kind of demonstrating what you already know. And based off that, it will be your score. So, and the problem with that is when, winning doesn't mean that you're good, or losing doesn't mean that you're bad. For example, if you beat a newborn baby at the game, that doesn't mean you're good. But if you lose to Sonic Fox, that doesn't necessarily mean you're bad. So necessarily getting a win or a loss isn't really a good indication on how good you are. And that's, even beside the point. So what I want you to do is when you go into your friendlies or, your casuals or your ranked matches, I want you to try to work on one or two particular things. So let's say you want to work on your defense. You want to practice, playing more patient, not always approaching, making your opponent come to you, not trying to close the gap. And the problem with this is that, maybe you said it's not one of your strengths. So if you're playing to that aspect, but it's not one of your strengths, you are going to lose sometimes. You probably lose to players that you know, or at least you think you're better than. And that's completely okay, because when you lose, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a worse player. If you're actually working on these things in the middle of a match and not just in practice mode, you will be refining your skills and you will improve. You may hold some L's, and that's the biggest thing. And I've tweeted this before, and I truly believe it, that if you want to improve at these games, one of the biggest things that's going to get in your way is your ego. Your ego wants you to win all the time. It wants you to feel like you're really good. Even if you're not, it wants you to have that feeling. And what you're going to do is you're going to try to win every game. And this is why people get upset, because they're not as happy as they want to be with their skill, or they're not at where they feel like they should be. But essentially that's just putting a timetable on it. That's your ego being like, hey, you should be better, or you should try to win now. But you're going to be holding yourself back because you're only going to be working with the skills that you know. For example, I remember back in MK1, I was playing my friend who played Baraka, and he was doing a corner combo, but he wasn't doing the optimal version of it. And I'd let him know, like, hey, you can do this. You should try it. The next time you get me in the corner, you open me up. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that in an actual match. So he didn't work on refining his game because he wanted to win the friendly. That really meant nothing. And that's the thing. These ranked matches, these casual matches, these friendlies don't really mean much. We put a lot of emphasis on it. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do well in these particular situations. But it doesn't really matter. I get if you don't play competitively, then maybe that's, as competitive as the game gets. But then, there's times where you should work on stuff, and then there could be times where you take really serious, your ranked matches or whatever. From what I know and from what I see, most people who play the game, they don't work on things when they play like friendlies or casuals. They're just trying to win, and that's gonna hold you back. You're not gonna be able to improve as much, or even at all, unless you work on things in the match. So if you want to work on playing more defensively, maybe you want to work on getting particular combos, maybe you want to work on mix-ups, approach mix-ups, you want to work on your shimmy game. Try to emphasize working on that while you're playing these matches. And that doesn't mean that you can't win. That doesn't mean that you should be throwing matches. It's just a matter of you should emphasize doing that and a lot of those times those are going to be weaker parts of your game, and then that's going to lead to you potentially losing more often because you're trying to refine those parts of your game. The thing is, you're going to lose more now, but you're going to be better in the future, and you're going to be able to beat better players, more players, and be more consistent because you're working on these things. I hope this makes sense. I really hope that you guys can implement this and you guys will start improving a lot. I've noticed, I've seen, we're 6 months into MK1 at least, and this applies to every fighting game. I use the same thing to get better at Super Smash Bros. So I'll work on these things, and we'll see. I see a lot of people talk about how they don't feel like they're good, they don't feel like they're improving, and this is something that can really help you get over that hump, get over that plateau, and start to see the improvement that you want to be the player that you want to be. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you guys enjoyed a pretty simple video right here, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys at the next video.